If you've watched my review of the FMV game known as Her Story, you'll quickly be able to see some similarities between it and Telling Lies. While the latter is not a sequel to the first one, the gameplay and overall concept as a whole are the same. Unfortunately, the full motion video format does bring some serious disadvantages with itself, the main of which is that you can't really change any resolutions or other graphical settings, since you are effectively just watching a video for the most part. Therefore, ultra-wide is not an option here as well. The good news is that this game's narrative takes place in modern times, so the resolution and overall quality of the videos is pretty good. I'm only mentioning this since the previous one simulated having been recorded on VHS tapes, which meant that the quality of the videos was intentionally made worse, and I did not appreciate that. In Telling Lies, we are seeing everything through the eyes of a woman who's accessing a stolen NSA database in order to find out what led to a certain chain of events. Since the footage is not cataloged chronologically, the player has to try searching for certain keywords, as a result of which up to 5 clips can appear. You have to watch these clips, write down some things that seem important, and then search for more. Sometimes the clues are not just within what is being said, but also within the environment itself. A good example of this is something that I noticed while reviewing some of the footage of an online prostitute, which is one of the characters. In her videos, you can clearly recognize that she has a name tattooed on her chest. I searched for that name and found some more footage, which turned out to be quite important. Just as it was in the previous game, in Telling Lies, the player unravels more and more information, and once enough critical data is collected, the game will allow you to view its ending. The player will be given some hints that the clip they just watched is important by the fact that the camera will focus on the reflection of our female character who is viewing all of them, and something will be happening to her in that background. It can be as mundane as a cat jumping up on a desk or her boyfriend passing by and asking if she wants something to drink. What's new here is that the game has multiple endings, and the player will only get to watch the one related to the person who they have watched the most about. As you can see, the gameplay is very limited, so your enjoyment is mostly dependent on how well Telling Lies' story manages to capture your attention. Because of that, I can't share any specific details regarding it, since I don't want to spoil anything for anyone. Still, the good news I can give you is that the story is designed much better than it was in the first game, for what it's worth. We now have multiple characters, which really helps add structure to the videos. The actors, some of which by the way I actually recognize from TV shows such as Westworld, do an amazing job at looking natural and still portraying emotions. Since almost all of the videos are supposed to be recorded footage from webcams and other personal devices, you will almost always end up watching a clip with only one person on it, having a conversation with someone else who we can't even hear nor see at that time. By researching through the database, we are then able to find the corresponding clip of said other person. This is a huge improvement to the first game, where the format was in the shape of an interrogation, but we could only ever hear the answers the woman was giving, the one who is actually being questioned, and never actually the voice of the policeman nor their position. We were supposed to imagine the questions, and while that was possible and fairly easy to manage, it still felt like something was missing. So Telling Lies has a better structure, which makes it much easier for us to figure things out, especially because certain characters will only ever have direct contact with our male protagonist, meaning that we will have an easier time understanding which clips are a response to what. This does come with its own set of problems though. Look at this footage here. I've sped it up, but look at the timer. In this scene, the protagonist is actually listening to something someone else is saying. This lasts for over 5 minutes. That's right, 5 minutes in which you just look at this actor standing there. Luckily, this is one of the more extreme examples, but it's by no means an exception. I can still see the point of this. You are, after all, investigating, and the footage gives you the feeling of actually spying on someone, since it doesn't look like it's been designed for your enjoyment. The downside is that there will be times when you are kind of bored. I literally checked my phone during some of these scenes, so that speaks for itself. The game does let you fast forward, but sometimes I was simply too lazy for it, which, by the way, is a personal character flaw and not something I blame the game for in particular. The story still managed to make me curious and featured several unexpected twists, which I did enjoy. The part that I did not like was the excessive political correctness. Yep, brace for impact. Allow me to give you a few examples. The story involves some environmental activism, multiracial relationships, and the occasional moments like this one.
Campaign.
As a group, we
We abide by non-violence.
That's fine. And all I'm saying is I'm interested in putting my privileged white male able body where it can do some work.
After having played the game, I come to the conclusion that in their desire to check all the woke boxes, the devs still forgot the gays. I mean, what the hell, the players want to be virtue signaled properly. At the very least, the online hooker should have been a gay guy, or even better, a transvestite or something like that. But okay, jokes aside, you know my stance on this. I don't accept it. Stop telling us how progressive you are and focus on making a good story instead of pandering to a tiny minority of stupid people who think that a game is not good unless everything revolves around them within it. I play games as a female protagonist, I play games as a male protagonist, and it was never a factor for me. I don't remember thinking Tomb Raider sucks because the good guy is actually a girl, or Silent Hill 2 sucks because Pyramid Head is clearly male and is portrayed as a monster, and I'm male too, so I must be a monster too. Most people are not idiots. They don't actually think that if they are not represented, or if a group to which they belong is represented poorly within a game or a movie, that this is an attack on them personally. No, it's not, and we know this. So make a good story and place appropriate characters in it without wondering how to shoehorn some sort of group or idea into it in hopes of looking super woke. But let's move on with the review. There are a few tiny things which I have to address here. First of all, the game presents you with the interface of an invented operating system. There are a few curious things to find here, one of which is the possibility to play Solitaire. Most people probably won't bother with it whatsoever, but I decided to do it for fun, and as it turns out, the Solitaire minigame is rigged against you. Look at the screenshot. One card is actually missing from the deck. I tested this numerous times and have no idea why it was done, but it's always the case. You can't win it. I do like the fact that they have provided you an in-game notepad to use where you could write down things, but to be fair, nothing beats pen and paper. And trust me, you will need to write things down. There are simply too many names of people, places, and other things of interest which you will have to search for in the database. What I did find a bit annoying is that there is no indicator about how many of the clips you have actually found, like there was in a previous game. It does feel like there are less of them though, so it's not that bad. If you are like me, you can simply beat the game once and then open the videos directory of the game, where you will find all of the video files in chronological order. It's much more convenient to watch them like that, but I guess it's also a form of cheating. My final thoughts are as follows. Telling Lies is a significant improvement from the first game and does a lot of things right. I still think that the long pauses and the generally minimalistic gameplay are an issue here and would love to see more done in that direction. They could add some puzzles, some more player interactions in order to spice things up, because while the story here is decent, it's simultaneously far from good enough for me to say that I would like to play it past the first ending in order to unlock the other ones. If you are someone who enjoys FMV games and like what you've seen so far, and especially if you are someone who liked the first game, then you will most likely have at least 4 hours of fun with this one. And given the fact that it's quite cheap, I can definitely recommend it to these people. For everyone else, however, I'd say move on. This won't work for you. I myself have mixed feeling about it. As they say in a TV show that I really enjoyed, not good, not terrible. That's pretty much how I feel about this game. With that having been said, allow me to redirect your attention to my Patreon account, where I regularly post links to all the best free games I can find. Those posts are public, so anyone can view them. Make sure to check it out from time to time, and you will never miss out on those sweet, sweet freebies. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.